Not so long ago, musicians had very limited ways of making money. Mostly they could play live gigs in a band or orchestra, and the only way to hear the performance would be to attend the event in person. They would have to travel around from town to town to make a living, or perhaps perform small chamber concerts in wealthy private homes. This is where the term chamber music originated. Published sheet music of a song could be purchased and played on instruments at home, but this revenue didn't usually benefit the musician much at all, but rather the publishing company that had complete rights to all of the sheet music. Later, in the late 1800s, recorded music was invented, and music could be heard repeatedly after the performance was recorded. Musicians at the time worried and complained that this would put them out of paid work since audiences no longer had to attend the show and buy a ticket. Of course, the advent of recorded music actually now made it possible for them to make much more money with less in-person work, effectively duplicating their live performance multiple times and allowing them to sell virtual tickets to the owners of early home phonographs. However, some musicians at the time missed the boat completely and refused or couldn't afford to record their music, forever forcing themselves to relentlessly tour the live performance in person every time. Meanwhile, the more forward-thinking recording artists easily collected royalty checks from mechanical sales without the need to play out so much. And when they did perform live, it was a good way to encourage audiences to purchase the recorded music to enjoy again and again later at home. They could now be more selective about the club and concert halls they performed in and demand a higher salary due in large part to the popularity of their record sales. When the drum machine first came out in the early 1980s, as an aspiring young drummer, I was afraid that my hard-developed skills would be replaced by the simple and affordable machine. It was highly in demand, perfectly accurate, lightweight and easy to transport and set up, unlike my huge drum kit. It didn't need microphones or heavy hardware. It could be turned down or used with headphones. And most of all, it didn't require to be paid for its rhythmic services like I did. Now, of course, in the later 1980s, the drum machine's prowess dominated the radio airwaves and music charts. Entire genres like disco and new wave were changed forever, and new types of music like EDM and hip-hop, well, we called it rap back then, they were based off of its perfect timing. As time went by, some savvy artists and drummers adapted to using the drum machine as another powerful tool to pull from their toolbox, using the machine to their great advantage. Programming became the new thing. Artists like Kraftwerk, Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, Annie Lennox, and Sade blended the robotic sound of the drum machine with live, powerful drums and even tribal ethnic percussion. Audiences' ears had developed perfect tempo from years of listening to these machines, but many still crave the guttural and human feel of a well-trained live drummer. Most drum machine companies even added a humanized function in an attempt to make them sound less rigid, and some even had a drum fill button to add some spontaneity to the program. So I grew and continued to improve as a drummer. I enjoyed programming and played right along with my little Roland TR-606 Drumatics machine whenever I practiced. My tempo and timing improved drastically. My love and skill at programming became more and more apparent, and as a real drummer, I was pretty good at it, coming from that background. I continued to embrace computers and MIDI technology, which also opened up my interest in music production and eventually computer-based recording with Pro Tools-based software, which is now the standard method in most recording studios. It also opened up my mind and future career to bigger opportunities, no longer begging for paid gigs playing with that local band, although some of those guys are still my best friends, even today. Embracing the new technology and accepting change allowed me to evolve and flourish in the exciting modern music industry. Changing business practices and hyper-technology are all around us right now, and it'll only become more and more exponential as the future hurls itself at us in the years ahead. So let's try to go with the flow and not become bitter or resistant to the recording production industry. Embrace the challenges the future holds for us. The new possibilities are absolutely amazing. I get lots of bands and artists coming in to record, and I see many of them making the same mistakes, wasting valuable time and money. I thought it might be nice to share my thoughts on this with you to perhaps help you avoid making some of the same mistakes. So if you're about to hit the studio, check out my top 10 ways to save time and big money during your recording session. If you'd like to check it out, just hit the link down below and I'll send it to you at no cost. That way, the next time you're ready to record, you'll know what to do to prepare for your next session. How to keep your bandmates on track and avoid making common pitfalls. How to communicate more effectively with your local studio and engineer to ensure that you get the best rates every time before you book.